Michael Montero here with Abel Sanchez, trainer of Gennady Golovkin at the Summit in Big Bear, California. Abel, how's camp going for Kell Brook?
It's going fantastic. Golovkin came in at 170 pounds. We've started sparring. We've been sparring now for about a week and a half. We have probably 5 more days of sparring. He feels good. His weight's right. He's just looking forward to the 10th.
Did I hear that right? He came into camp at 170 pounds.
Yeah, he's not a very big guy. I mean, if you remember the 30-day weigh-in, he weighed 164. Right. So he's not a big guy, and he's not one of those guys that doesn't take care of himself. He's very, very disciplined. So when he comes to camp, he doesn't do nothing at home. He comes to camp. I think the heaviest I've ever seen him come to camp was a fight where we had like 6 months off. I forget which fight that was, but he was 174. That's as heavy as that I've seen him come into camp.
So all the talk about possibly moving up to super middleweight in the future. Is Gennady going to maybe start strength training to put on more muscle when he does that? Or how do you think you'd go about that?
He's going to be a better 68-pounder than he is a 60-pounder. He won't, he probably will not weigh any more than 72, 73 for any of those fights. He feels that's his right weight. And if he doesn't have to lose weight, if he just can eat anything he wants to eat, because he loves steak and he loves ribs and he just loves to eat. No, he loves to eat. So he'll just walk. He'll fight at whatever weight he's walking around, which probably will be for a 68-pound fight, probably 72, 73.
Okay, well, that brings us to some of the. I know it's beating a dead horse with some of the stuff with Canelo and Saunders and those guys, but obviously the plan is to stick around at 60 to get those guys still, correct?
Well, even if he moves up. Even if he moves up, he'll come back down to get those guys. He doesn't have a problem making 160, and if he fights at 168, he'll come back down. That's not an issue for him. That's not a problem for him.
So right now, if he were to go up to 168 to fight Gilberto Ramirez, or maybe the winner between Jack and DeGale, if he was to fight one of those guys, that'd be a one and done, and to be back to 160.
No, one and done if that's all that presents itself at 68. But if something presents itself at 60 or a defense of his title at 60, then he'll go back down. He wants to be the unified champion. So until he gets those 4 belts, he won't vacate completely at 160.
Well, as far as Billy Joe Saunders, who I think holds the WBO title, you guys tried to get a fight with him before, and I don't want to say he ran, but he avoided the fight. You're targeting the UK now with Brook. Is that still a fight that you guys want next year?
Well, absolutely. That would give him the 4 belts. If he gets those 4 belts, and maybe all of us will see him campaign at 168, stay at 168. Once those 4 belts are done, then he's got nothing to prove at 160, because there's nobody else really that wants to fight him at 160. Just that belt holder, and moving up to 68 would be hopefully to capture the 4 belts there too. I mean, I'm sure those guys would love to fight a 60-pounder and try to prove that they're too big for him.
That's what they say on Twitter. I don't know. They're not saying it in the ring. But I was going to ask about Canelo Alvarez. And obviously there's been a lot of talk back and forth. I saw you guys last week at the presser in Los Angeles, and I asked Gennady straight up if he thinks the fight's going to happen. He doesn't think it's going to happen for a few years. Do you still think that fight's going to happen next year?
No. I told Tom, I think you asked me that question that day in one word, if it was you or somebody. But anyway, you asked me in one word to describe my feeling once he vacated. I said, it's in 3 words. I told Tom this 2 years ago. I told Tom this a year ago. It's not going to happen for at least a couple of years anyway, in my mind. Now, if it happens before that, then it's going to be a treat for all us fans, because that's the fight we want to see right now.
Is that fight, if it doesn't happen for a couple of years, does it fall into the danger of becoming Mayweather-Pacquiao Part 2, where it gets to a point where it's past its due date?
It becomes a very dangerous precedent to set, because the fans already know what happened with the first one, the one you just mentioned, Pacquiao Mayweather. So if that's the case, they're going to tune out. They're fed up with that. They don't want the same. They don't want to pay the kind of money and have the same thing happen again. So I fear that, but I have no control over that. All I can do is train Golovkin for the next fight, and hopefully Tom can put something together that benefits all of us as fans.
Speaking of training for this fight, are you guys planning to go over to the UK a little earlier, or is it still just business as usual?
No, it's business as usual. I'm not a believer in the trying to assimilate to the time and weather. When we go to Monte Carlo, we go on Monday and we get there on Tuesday. Every fight that we've had there, that's what we do. But this time, Tom has requested, because of some some interviews and stuff we have to do there to leave on Saturday afternoon, and we'll be there on Sunday. So we'll do the things that we have to do on Sunday evening and Monday. But that's just because Tom had those things set up. Tom and Eddie, I should say. But it's not by my choice or because I think we need to.
You guys went over there a while back for a press conference, and there was a large reaction from the UK fans. Were you surprised at just the reaction that you had from the fans over there?
No, I look at them as Mexican fans or Latin fans. They're very fanatical. They're rabid fans. They support their fighters, win, lose, or draw. I feel that when we go over there, the fact that it sold out in 11 minutes tells you that. Yeah. But I think that when we go over there, I think that as we're walking in the ring, there'll be some detractors. There'll be a little booing. But I think once the fight starts and once they see the elegance of the two guys and the elegance of the type of fight that it's going to be, I think that the fans will be happy with whatever happens, just as long as they get treated to a great fight.
And how do you see the fight going real quick? If you had to, I mean, obviously I know you can't give a prediction, but how do you see it playing out from as far as a strategic perspective?
Well, Golovkin, in all his fights, as you know, goes out and kind of searches for the opportunity in the first round. By the end of the first round, he's got it figured out. By the second round, he starts to work. But just Brook being at 176 pounds tells me that maybe their intent is to stick around, to be in the pocket, to want to fight Golovkin. And I think anybody that does that is doomed for a knockout. There's just no way that anybody can be as strong. I think, like I said, he's going to be a better 68-pounder. So at 60, there's nobody that's going to be strong enough to keep up with him.
And for this camp, this is the first time that Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is trained here at Big Bear. How did that change anything for you guys? Did just having that another pound-for-pound great in here, did it change the atmosphere of camp at all?
No, because he trains at a different time. But I'll tell you what is kind of interesting is that Gennady trains from 3 to 5, Chocolatito from 5 to 7. So between 5 and 5:30, we happen to have the two best fighters in the world in one gym, which is, I mean, that's unheard of. And they get along real well. They both train hard. Chocolatito is liking Big Bear, liking the fact that it's the solitude and he can train. So I think we're in for two great fights.
That's great. So how do you see his fight turning out with Cuadras?
He has a difficult fight. He has a difficult fight because he's moving up 3 pounds, but Chocolatito is a special talent. The fact that those 3 pounds may help him, and Cuadras is not really that big a puncher, it could be a fight of the year candidate. I mean, I think that Chocolatito is by far one of the most skilled boxers in the world right now, and Cuadras being the champion, I know he's not going to give it up easily. So we could be treated to probably the fight of the year.
I think that's top to bottom the best triple header of the year. Well, there you have it, fight fans. September 10th, make sure you tune in to HBO. Abel, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.